When you think of super heavily armored tier 8s, vehicles like the K2 probably come to your mind. This vehicle has some very, very troll armor. The side armor on this thing, even at this angle, is able to get bounces just because of how goofy it is. That's not to mention the incredibly well-armored turret, solid gun depression, and, I mean, we can see the upper plate. It's really, really strong. It's upwards of 359 millimeters thick at this angle. It's a beefy, beefy tank. But at the same time, the K2 has big weak points, right? You angle the vehicle just a little bit too much, you can pen the corner, cut out. And while the armor is very strong on the side, if you know where to aim through the track wheel, you can quite easily cut through it. But this kind of average-looking Soviet heavy, the IS-6, well, I consider the IS-6 to be the most armored tier 8 in the game. I know, it's a crazy thing to say, because you probably think of the IS-6 as a pretty, mediocre heavy. But trust me, this tank's armor is ridiculous, and if you're able to use it properly, it will get you further than any other tier 8 in the game. Now, it doesn't matter if I get shot in the side by an Astron Rex, that's just cringe, but I guess that's because we have no mediums doing literally anything, so, oh well. We got the TNH over here, which is showing me his lower plate. Let's hope he does it again. I can, ooh, do you want to show me your hatch? There you go. I couldn't pen anything but his hatch there. Alright, so let's move up. Let's see if we can get some damage into the Tiger. Now, something else that's great about this tank is not just the armor. It also has a crazy good gun in terms of penetration. The gold on this tank is over 300 millimeters. So, sure, this tank might not have the most DPM, but trust me, we can literally turn a Tiger 2 into toothpaste if we're able to use it properly. Watch this. This is a Tiger 2. Look at the upper plate on this thing. I mean, yeah, it doesn't even have armor. It's so stupid what you can do in this tank. Well, there's our first bounce of the game. Nothing crazy, but obviously these enemy players aren't too much of a threat either. Well, let's aim it on the forest switch here, and the gun is still very, very mediocre on this tank, but that's pretty common sense, right? Got the enemy Tiger here. Does manage to cut through my upper plate, but that's also because I had to back into cover so that we wouldn't get shot by the enemy. There you go. Nice shot into the Tiger, too. The roof is also a weak point on this tank. This Tiger may be really bad at the game, but it doesn't change the fact that my teammates are even worse at supporting me here, so, oh well. We're going to aim it on the Forest Witch. You can honestly see why the Forest Witch is such an overpowered vehicle. It's not because the tank has a necessarily overpowered gun, it's just because the armor on that thing is so troll. But, we're doing pretty good here. Let's see if we can get some damage into the enemy Panther. Let's reload, and boom, there you go, nice shot. The Astron is going to try and push me here, and the best play that I can make is wiggle it. And there you go, we get our first bounce of the game. Now I'm going to back up, and I'm going to continue angling it to the best of my abilities. Let's get another shell into the Panther 88, and I got to wiggle against the Astron. Oh my god, we're getting bounces like crazy. This is what I mean, though, by the armor on this tank is so good. You wiggle this thing properly, and the enemy just doesn't know what to do. Alright, well, we did get penned a little bit there, but that's fine. We're getting damage out. This Panther, I'm not sure where they're going to try and pen me here, but the biggest weakness, as I said, is the roof. So you got to be really careful about the roof on this tank. If you're able to hide the roof, you're totally fine. All that's left at this point is the Astron, and that's who we're going to try and deal with. Let's see if we can roll around this corner and get one shell into them, although it looks like the AMX is going to get the clear. But not a bad result at all. Our armor did fine. Didn't do anything crazy, but we were also up against a Tiger 2, which obviously is some of the best penetration. As I said, the biggest weak point of the IS-6 is the turret. But to be honest, we still did 3,000 damage, and we did pretty good in terms of blocked. We still blocked 1,000. But if we pull back up the armor on this tank, I'll show you exactly why it's so good. This here is what the IS-6's armor profile looks like on flat ground. So as we can see, the upper plate's about 260 effective. That's crazy. These corner cutouts, even at this angle, are still 260. So if you drive the IS-6 properly, you're going to turn it like this, and at this angle, this is what the enemy sees. The lower plate at weakest is around 220. The upper plate at weakest is 280, and this corner is still 250. That means basically all tier 7s. This is what a T-29 sees. Almost all tier 7s, unless loading gold, aren't going to be able to pen you. And even when loading gold, they still barely have a chance. But we can see the roof of this tank is a super big weak point. The whole roof, right? I mean, it's not even just the hatches. The entire roof of this tank, because it's only 31 millimeters thick, means that you can basically overmatch it with any gun. So it does have big weak points. If you're able to use your brain cells and shoot the roof, you're going to pen it every time. But as always, people usually aren't smart enough to do that. They usually just shoot at the hull. So the best way to play the IS-6 is not actually to face hug, but it's to stay at about a distance like this here. That way the enemy's looking down on you, and the only real weak spot is that. Apart from that, I mean, it's going to be very, very hard. You got a turret weak point, but in general, this thing is crazy. And if you're using gun depression, I mean, look at the red, dude. This tank's armor is insane. So yeah, the IS-6 is a beast. And you saw just a little snippet there from the gameplay that we had. The moment we got rushed, the Astron, the Panther 88, they didn't know what to do. They were bouncing me on the side, they were bouncing me on the front. It's only when you start aiming in and you actually use your brain that you can realize, oh, I have to shoot this tank in the roof to penetrate it. But the best part about the IS-6 is that it's one of the cheapest tier 8s in the game. It's not a vehicle that really costs any money, right? I mean, there's plenty of tanks that cost a boatload of money to get your hands on. The K2, for example, was in crates not too long ago. Wargaming was literally trying to sell that vehicle for hundreds of dollars to players. And that's not the only tank. There's plenty of other Soviet-style heavies like the 252 when that thing was first released that was also in crates. This is one of the only heavies in Tier 8 that is not in crates, that is usually dirt cheap when it gets released, whether it's in just a normal bundle or some pop-up offer. Whatever it is, it's usually dirt cheap for this tank. And the level of armor that it has now, after the buffs that it's received, really makes it just excellent. A little bit of queuing later, we get into a battle on Dead Rail. Up against us, we have a few tier 7s, but not really much. And then we've got a couple tier 8s. The problem is, at this point, so many tier 8s have just crazy levels of penetration. I mean, the T-54E2 Shark has really solid premium APCR, and I'm not sure how effective my armor will be against that tank. You know, the thing that I really find funny about the IS-6 is it's not even slow. I mean, you can see here, we're chilling at 30 plus kilometers per hour. This tank is just as fast as any other tier 8 heavy, and it's what I also really like about this tank, you know? It doesn't suffer in the mobility department. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen to this vehicle's armor when it gets enhanced graphics. If it's going to become better, worse, what exactly is going to happen. Alright, well, we're going to move up here. We got the AMX, who I do get a nice pen into, and there you go, we get a bounce from the Caernarvon, and I'm just going to chill here. This Shark is a threat, but not one that I'm super duper scared of. I think this Caernarvon actually saw my armor and then stopped shooting at it. I think he was like, oh my god, that thing has so much armor, because he did bounce me once with a premium shell. That's pretty funny when you actually think about it. Alright, well, we're going to reload just a teeny bit longer. And now we have our shells. We have the Judo, which doesn't really scare me. We have the AMX, which I slam a gold shell right into. As I said, this thing is really good premium pen. And even though the AMX does have a pretty good turret, it doesn't matter too much. The Judo, already dead. Our whole team is like a firing line behind me. And I've been able to assist a lot of damage this game. But evidently it doesn't matter because they have a frickin' ISU or a Borsig that just nuked my lower plate across the map. That sucks. That sucks so much. God, I hate Dead Rail, dude. It doesn't matter how good your armor is on this map. It's just so bad. And if you don't have gun depression, you can't work the hill properly. And just freaking tank destroyers like the RHM just nuke you. I hate it so much. By far the worst map when it comes to, you know, a non-haul down tank. Now, we do get an easy shell into that player. And we actually get a bounce on the rear. Shark managed to go through the under part of our turret. But we're doing okay. I'm not dead yet. That alone is pretty impressive, to be honest. We got the brass, got the Aufklärungs. I'm going to aim in on the Aufklärungs. There you go, 378. Ooh, there's the Borsig. Alright, we're still alive, so I guess there's something. It's always funny, whenever I'm like, oh, you know, armor this, armor that. The sad part is, armor just really doesn't mean much half the games you play. I mean, yes, it is an important thing, but I mean, this game, for example, my armor literally meant nothing. I had to expose my lower plate to shoot the enemy, and just because we're on a map that literally doesn't allow you to use your armor. It's a real bummer, but it's also the reality of Blitz sometimes. If you don't get a map where you can hide that lower plate or poke the way you want, the enemy's just gonna shoot your weak points. But at the end of the day, this was still a really good battle. Ended up dealing 2,700 damage, and I got away with an incredibly aggressive play. I can't name that many heavy tanks that would have been able to do what I did here and, you know, still have such an easy result. I do think the IS-6 is a fantastic vehicle, and maybe the armor didn't work this game, but I can tell you, and you saw it, I mean, the armor's great. It's a fantastic vehicle. If you're looking at a tank for its armor capabilities, the IS-6 is definitely the way to go, especially for how incredibly cheap it is. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.